see here. I think we're good. Oh, we're not good. Maybe we are. All right, we are good. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, I'm a little bit delayed in my getting started today. We were helping somebody move. So hello, those of you in the chat on Zoom. Oh no, now my computer's freezing. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, so hello on Facebook and on Zoom. Although I think I keep freezing over here on Zoom, which is not good. Hopefully it stops doing that. Make sure everybody can hear me. So hello everybody over here in the comments. I see everybody on Zoom now. All right. So thank you guys for joining me, and everybody on Facebook. Let me just grab the Facebook video on my phone. I apologize. I'm just like little discombobulated right now. We've been helping somebody move all day today, and I literally walked in the door, had a sitter come in and help me out, and jumped on here. So I'm just getting my wits about me. All right, so welcome to the first day of our 21-day tarot takeover here on Facebook and Zoom and with the Sisters Enchanted and all that good stuff. So I am Sarah. I'm your head magic maker, magical cruise director. Hey, Casey, my sister-in-law is in the comments there with my little baby niece. Anyway, I'm your magical cruise director here at the Sisters Enchanted. And let's see, someone on Zoom said she doesn't have sound. I think maybe, I don't know how to help with that because I think the sound is working. So yes, I'm your magical cruise director here at the Sisters Enchanted. The Sisters Enchanted was born in May 2016 as a way for us to make magic mainstream and bring people together from all over the world to create magic in their own lives, simple everyday magic. Like I said, I'm Sarah, one of the founders here at the Sisters Enchanted and your head magic maker. Who am I? I am a mom. I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. I am the operator of the Sisters Enchanted. I live in the US on the East Coast, and I have been slinging tarot cards since I was 15. Bought my first deck at a band field trip at Disney World, oddly enough, one of the like villain stores or something. I purchased a tarot deck, and yeah, spent my lunch money on Silver Ravenwolf books in like 1999 at a discount bookstore. And here I am, fast forward all these years later, operating the Sisters Enchanted. So, all right, so some people are giving our Zoom friends advice here on getting sound, so that's awesome. And this video will be up for a replay too, so if you jump off, that's fine. If you're on the Facebook group, then you will have access right there. I'm also going to download it and I will upload it to YouTube and send you out a link in the email, so it's easy to find and all of that good stuff. Those of you who are on Zoom who don't have a Facebook account, that's totally cool. We will have homework threads, and I will post them to our Instagram also, and they'll be in Facebook. So nobody will miss out, I don't think. And Jordan loves Silver Ravenwolf. Yeah, Silver Ravenwolf gets kind of a bad rep, but I think, she was like super accessible in the 2000s and the 90s. So, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong with that. All right, here's how this is going to work. We have a few live videos scheduled out. I sent the email with the schedule this morning, and I will post it, and every email I send, I'll keep the schedule in there so that you can see the dates coming up. And I believe our next video will be on Tuesday. And each time there's a live video, I'll send you a new printable also. So like the next video email will have the printable for that day and the next few days before the next video. So I'm not sending that all at once to you. And there will be, like I said, homework threads in our Facebook group and on Instagram, so you can participate there. And at the end of a free class, we always pick a few people to win some cool stuff like stickers or whatever that we send out in the mail. We've got, I don't have many here, but loads of different Sisters Enchanted stickers and things like that. So you want to participate in the homework threads. All right, so first thing, we'll talk about the kind of lesson today, and then I will go through the printable and give you the homework for the next few days. So if you have questions, be sure to ask in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them and not lose everybody's comments. Okay, so today we are talking about like really basic beginner stuff here. And so Chantel says, never got an email and it's not in your spam either. So Chantel, you can email us at magic@thesistersenchanted.com and we will check and make sure you are on the list for it. If you signed up today after like 10 a.m., it's possible that it didn't get sent to you, although you should have got the welcome email. So, but you can email us at magic@thesistersenchanted.com and we can see what the deal is. Most of the time, I will say that it tells us that it's sent. If you signed up 99% of the time, it'll say it sent it to you. And then, you know, like, I don't know what happens from there. Sometimes it just gets like lost in the interweb vastness, I guess. I don't know if it's not in your spam folder, but you can definitely email us and we'll just make sure that your name is on there. All right, so today we're going to talk about tarot cards versus oracle cards and different kinds of cards and stuff like that and get you going. So, okay, so yeah, I don't know, email sent this morning. Is anybody here who did? Obviously the email went out because the people on Zoom got the link. So that's the only way they got the link was through the email. So check a lot of people on Facebook are just saying that they don't have the email. So yeah, the Sisters Enchanted CC, not Enchanted Sisters, the Sisters Enchanted, other way around. Yeah, check your spam folders, and otherwise, I don't know, we can check for you. Anywho, okay, so tarot versus oracle is what we're starting with today. Tarot cards, there are all different kinds of tarot cards, especially right now, because they're so popular. There's been this surge in popularity around tarot, which is super amazing for the creators of tarot decks, right? And it's really opened up the field for people, all different kinds of artists and authors and people of different ideas and backgrounds to bring new decks to the forefront. So tarot cards differ from oracle cards in that tarot cards follow a system and a story, where oracle cards tend to be really particular to the artist and the author of that deck. So they can be anywhere, like about anything at all. And they don't have to follow any system, any story, anything like that. So you could literally, like, I don't know, if you wanted to make an oracle deck about like a maple tree, I'm looking at my window, like a maple tree oracle deck, you could totally do that. And it could be all like different messages from maple trees or like different leaves or whatever. You could literally make an oracle deck about anything. And you could make a tarot deck about anything too, but the thing that makes a tarot is that it follows the system. So the traditional kind of system that we work with mostly when we teach is the Rider-Waite system, the Rider-Waite-Smith system. And that is just your cards that kind of look like this. They're a little bit like if you watch in like movies ever, pop culture sort of, whenever you see it, typically it's like this sort of deck that's featured. And yeah, it's your basic sort of imagery. So the Rider-Waite-Smith system is what most decks, I would say now, kind of borrow that system and then they translate it into their own story and their own imagery. And you can find decks, for example, the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, which I have put down here, which is also a tarot deck, but follows its own system. So if you're totally brand new to tarot, and I just want to say the people in Facebook, I see your comments. I'm just not going to answer them all because it totally distracts me from talking, and then I'll go back through and I'll read them all and answer questions and whatnot. So you do find decks that are tarot decks, like the Dreams of Gaia, that follow their own system and they make their own story. But what makes it still a tarot deck is that it follows a system. So with your traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, this is the the ultimate Rider-Waite, you have the major arcana and the minor arcana. So the major arcana is a set of cards that goes from 0, which is the Fool, up through 21, and it tells the story of the Fool. It's the Fool's journey. And this Fool encounters all these things on his journey or her journey. And it's our profound things that happen in our lives when you line it all up in order. And then you have your minor arcana, which is like the pentacles, the swords, the cups, and the wands. And these minor arcana suits tell their own little stories, right? So those line up also from ace through 10, and then there's court cards too. And there's stories within all of these, where again, an oracle deck, like I said, could be literally about anything. So here I have, this is the Fairy Enchantments Oracle. And I'll bust it out here so you can see it. But it's what it is, this one in particular, it's pictured different fairies, and there's like some information on the back, but doesn't follow any kind of system. There's no story here. So I can't line them up and be like, oh, okay, so first we meet this thing on the journey, and then we encounter this, and then we grow in this way, and then we release this, and then there's big, great change or whatever. It's literally an informational deck that you can also use for divination. So you can pull a card, you can use your intuition, you can use it to help connect with spirit, whatever that looks like for you, just like you can with tarot. But the difference is that there's no system here, whereas tarot follows a strict system. And then you can certainly use the cards like Oracle too, which is going to be one of your homework assignments. So that's the basic difference between tarot cards and Oracle cards, is that Oracle cards can be made up of anything at all. What do I have here? This is like an astrology Oracle deck. So there's all planets and zodiac signs and things like that. I have an animals one. It's all animal cards. Whereas tarot is going to follow a system. So I also have the animal totem tarot, which is animal cards, but it's the tarot still. So it's following that major arcana story, and it's got 4 suits for the minor arcana, and there's a story and a progression between each of those. That is the big difference between tarot and Oracle. The fact that the tarot tells a story, follows a system, and Oracle does not. It's like its own thing. You can make up an oracle about anything at all. And then with tarot, like I said too, though, you can have some leeway. So like with the Dreams of Gaia tarot, there's some extra cards added in there. The order is a little bit different. Now we have people that all the time, like every day, there's tarot decks being published, right? The people are creating their own independently published decks, which is really super awesome and cool. But typically they are based on the Rider-Waite-Smith system. So you can find a lot of decks that, if you don't like this imagery, that use different imagery and different sorts of characters to present the story, that might be a little more pleasurable to your eye and to work with and intuitive for you, that do follow this system. So when you buy a deck that works with the Rider-Waite-Smith system, it's kind of important, because most things you find, if you're totally new and you're learning, are going to reference that story. So if you buy a book off of a shelf at a metaphysical shop, or you Google online, like, what does the Four of Cups mean, or something like that, it's going to reference the Rider-Waite-Smith meaning. So if you buy like the Dreams of Gaia tarot and you pull a card and you want to find out more about it, chances are it's going to, when you look it up, the meaning isn't really going to have a lot of significance with the deck that you're using. Did I say that backwards? Like the meaning you find online might not relate to something like this, because it doesn't follow the Rider-Waite-Smith system. Like the Animal Totem Tarot, as I was saying, let me just pull one out. The images on it are all animals. So they don't look anything like this deck, right? But if you pull a card from here, so if we have like the King of Cups, or what's the card? Okay. The Six of Swords, say. So the Six of Swords in this deck is going to look completely different than the Six of Swords in this deck. But if I'm not sure what it means, or I want to find out like the traditional meaning of it, you can look up the information, Six of Swords, and that's still going to be relevant to this deck, because it does follow the Rider-Waite-Smith story. So I hope that makes sense. You can buy a deck that doesn't look like a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but if it follows the same system and the same storyline, you can still use like any general book, any internet resource, and gain information from it. So of course, authors though will sometimes come up with their own like stories behind it. With a deck like this, you could look up the animal that's featured in it and get more information. And there's like so many layers to tarot. It's ridiculous. Well, it's not ridiculous. It's amazing and magical. But it's like an onion. There's just layer after layer after layer. So you can add those layers on. But starting out, Rider-Waite-Smith deck is like really good for a newbie because all the information that you look up is going to be relevant to that. All right, so we talked about the main difference between tarot cards and oracle cards and why we recommend a Rider-Waite-Smith deck as your beginner deck. Does anybody have any questions about that? I know it's pretty easy, simple stuff. Let me just check the comments real quick on Facebook and see what's going on here. Yes, there's going to be a replay. Carmen doesn't have a printer. That's totally cool. You don't have to print. I don't print most things out. I usually just take notes and handwrite. Jennifer Jo has the fairy enchantments. For some reason, Facebook's been cutting off comments on my phone, so I can't always read them all. Bert, I've come across cards where I knew I wasn't ready. They deserve more respect and spiritualism than I can't read the rest of it, but I think that what you're saying is, so some decks, like if you might, when you're first purchasing a deck, it's not uncommon to like buy a deck and have it be totally not the best fit starting out. So for example, like a lot of people will buy the Wild Unknown Tarot, which I have somewhere. I don't see it right here though. And it's so beautiful. The artwork is amazing, but it can be really challenging for a newbie to just read it and especially feel confident in your intuition with it. If you are working on being more intuitive and you want to read the book without the guidebook, we'll certainly help with that too over the next few weeks. One of the things I really want you to be able to do over the next few weeks is practice without using the guidebook. And that's some of your homework assignments for today are going to get you started with that. So Charlene has the Spirit Song Tarot deck. Katie wants to know if we'll go into the Toth at all. So Anna can do some of that, maybe. Katie, I'll ask her. I know, Katie, you learned on that system, right? Which is totally different, not totally different, but it's different than the Rider-Waite Smith sort of system for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, Spirit Song is really, really pretty. It's a newer one. All right, let's see here. So on Zoom, I bought the Kawaii Tarot as my first one from Amazon. It's really cute and easy to work with, but I did a deck interview with it and it said it didn't feel connected to me. Is there a way to fix this? All right, so a deck interview, for those of you who might not know what that is, a deck interview, there's a bunch of different ones you can do. We have a deck interview spread. If you search in the group, well, if those of you on Facebook anyway, if you search on Facebook, deck interview, you'll see one that I wrote and then I think another one that I posted, and probably more that people have posted pop up for you. But it's a spread you can do and kind of get to know your deck and what it might like be best suited for, or whether or not you're going to work together. So I would just say that with the doing a deck interview, just like any tarot spread at all, it's certainly going to be like, so you can pull cards today, right? And then you can ask the same question and pull them a few hours from now, and you're not going to pull the same cards. And so the deck interview is going to be relevant to your energy at that moment. So if it says that like you're not a great fit and that it's not going to be connected to you, maybe just spend some time getting to know the deck, which is one of the homework assignments, either today or tomorrow. Maybe spend some time getting to know it. Maybe let it kind of like air out and charge a little bit. Maybe with the new moon energy, just let it like loaf around your house and then try again at the full moon, like give it a few weeks. But I certainly wouldn't write it off, based on one spread. That said, one good point that I made there, when you are just starting out with tarot or with oracle cards, even pulling cards like first thing in the morning and then doing it again in the same day and asking the same question, It's kind of not something that I would recommend. Since I gave that example, I should point out I would not recommend that. It's like when you ask for advice from somebody and then you don't follow the advice, and then you ask again, and then you ask again, but you never act on it. You need to act on the advice given, right? So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't pull cards for the same question like 3 times in one day, or even like every day, because that would be silly. You got to do something about it. But yeah, I would just give it some time and like maybe get to know the cards a little bit better for sure. So Rebel says medical metaphysical store lets you see samples of each deck. Yeah, that's awesome when you have that opportunity. So Christelle says sometimes the guidebook is wrong and your gut feeling is more right on the meaning of a card. Yeah, so the guidebook, which is what's really interesting, is the guidebook is just that. It's a guidebook. So when you have something like the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, there is the story behind it, right? There's the Fool's Journey, there's the system, there's the story that it follows, and there's lessons to be learned. And then people will make their own decks and write their own stories similar, but they'll add in different characters sometimes, different symbolism, which adds that other layer to it. And then sometimes there's just your gut feeling. And that's one of the things that I want you to practice either today or tomorrow with the homework, is just pulling a card and looking at the symbols and imagery on it and seeing what it means to you. And I was just talking about this. We have this group called the Enchanted Journey, and my friend Tracy, who's a psychic medium, she was doing a chat with us, and we were talking about how important it is to get out of your own way and trust your gut. So if you pull a card and so I have the Queen of Cups here. So maybe that means one thing traditionally, but maybe I get this random intuitive thought where I'm just like the first thing that pops into my mind, whatever that would be, go with that thing. That can be so powerful, but it's really difficult to actually do that. Most of us second guess our intuition and don't get out of our own way. So for sure. Let's see here. Tarot de Marseille is a hard one to me. Just bought it and don't really understand it. Yeah, you guys, so those of you who are new here, my sister Anna, she's the other one that's usually in the pictures with me. She's crazy. So I started reading tarot when I was 15. She started a little bit later in life, but she's like a crazy deck collector. And so she has all the different styles and she works with all of them. So Jasmine's asking, so I'm going through the Zoom questions right now. Jasmine's asking, with tarot, are our spirit guides helping us get answers? Okay, so with tarot, any kind of divination, tarot, pendulums, runes, scrying, anything at all, it's really, there's no one answer to that. There's no yes, it's your spirit guide. Yes, it's whatever. Really, it's your intuition is where your subconscious and your perception of reality meet. So your subconscious can be made up of ancient DNA sort of things, past life stuff. It can be your familial lineage sort of stuff. Anything that's there within you, right? That it's that all-knowing wisdom that you already have, but you don't access that. You don't just sit here and access that, right? It's it's born into you. And then your perception of logic and reality is what's happening here. So I'm looking, I know my lamp shade to be red, right? I know my car to be black. These are my things. I know that birds fly. This is my perception of reality. And your intuition is where those two things meet. And so for some people, they'll feel like they get intuitive hits because it's like their spirit guides are communicating with them. For some people, it's their higher self. For some people, it might be their future self. For some people, that might be God or goddess or a Christian God or, an ancient deity. It could be an ancestor, whatever that is for you. So when you sit down to pull your cards, it can be helpful to kind of think, okay, what energy am I accessing? What kind of, what does that look like for me? So I tend to work with my future self and higher self. And then I have some friends that are all about their spirit team and their spirit guides. And some people, it's just the here and now, what do you know? And just want to kind of work through that. So yeah, it's not all, I wouldn't say that there's a definitive answer to that for sure. Let's see here. So Amanda has the Wizard's Tarot. Bought the Crystal Visions and is having a really hard time with it. Yeah, some cards, you just I've bought decks that I just give away or trade or sell or something because I'm I don't know, I really liked it online. I don't like it so much in my hands. Let's see here. Dawn says ego gets in the way. Yes, we question our intuition because sometimes it doesn't make sense. This has happened to me recently in a few readings where I've had like a thought come through that had nothing to do with the cards, and I shared it, and like it ended up being relevant to the person. But in the moment, I'm like, what on earth am I even talking about? So it can be really hard to learn to trust ourselves for sure. So could a patron god goddess help with something like this? I recently found out my patroness is Demeter. So could she, if you want to use that energy, right? If you want to access that energy, you could certainly call upon your patron deity for that. Let's see here. All right, so let's see about my Facebook comments because they're blowing up too. Oh, Katie's saying my memory is good. Yeah, Katie. I think sometimes people think like, I don't know, people who like participate in the group actively, it's like I feel like I know you guys, and I do remember. I don't always comment on everything, but I read and I remember for sure. So Kat's asking homework. Have I missed something? Is it? Nope, there's homework with this one. So it will be, there was a PDF that was emailed out. You want to check your spam folder if you don't see it. And April's recommending some Colette Baron Reed Oracle decks. Yeah. Bert saying, any of the information presented here going to be the same as Tarot Throwdown? Not the exact same, Bert, no. So it's going to be like pieces. Let's see here. And I'm just going through them. So Gay has a deck that's missing a card. Can't imagine where it could be. That has happened to me that's happened to me before, where a deck is missing a card. Sometimes it pops up later. Sometimes I'm like, I can't ever seem to find it. I do have two small kids, like, so I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, which are usually the reason why my decks are missing the card, and then I find it in some random place. So you can definitely like put that deck aside and like ask for the, just say, well, when you're ready to be used, come back to me. Some people who permanently lose cards for some reason or something gets damaged use the cards as learning cards and will then like write on them or do an art project with them or something like that. It's totally up to you what you feel like you need to do with it, but you could leave them out and ask for the card to come back, or like ask if you work with fairy energy at all, any elemental energy, you could ask for it to be returned. So Karen's asking, sleeping with a deck under the pillow creates a bond. True or false? So you'll learn this from me, that I'll tell you that there's no one size fits all answer for almost any question you ask me. My sister Anna does sleep with her cards under her pillow when she gets them. I don't personally do it, but some people that is a strategy for getting to know your cards, which is going to be one of our homework things, is to do something to get to know them. So yeah, some people do that for sure. Let's see here. So Jennifer Jo has pieced together a deck with no issues. Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. And when this is over, guys, I'll send out the replay and I'll make sure to put the PDF in there too. So Natasha sticks to intuitive readings. We'll use the book if the person asks me to. Can you buy just one card somewhere? Yeah, you might be able to get in touch with the publisher and see if you can get one card. And Jennifer Jo has pieced hers together from eBay. Monica, my comments get cut off for some reason on Facebook and I can't read all of them. So Monica can read other decks, but not the Rider-Waite, which is totally cool. So some people don't like the Rider-Waite Smith sort of deck at all, but remember that the Rider-Waite Smith deck, it's a formula and it's a story. So you can buy like this deck here. This is the Lumina Tarot. And somebody, it's an indie deck. Like this woman publishes it herself. It's self-published and it's completely different pictures. Like the imagery is 100% different, but it follows that same storyline. Thanks, Natasha, for saying that. Let's see. Jessica says, I stopped letting my ego get in the way when I started using tarot and oracle. Yeah, so my sister Anna, who she does most of our tarot card readings here now, and she, for the longest time when I was helping her learn how to read, she was taking notes and like going through the guidebook and like obsessing over the technical meanings. And I was like, just stop doing that and listen to your intuition, like throw caution to the wind and roll with it. And that's when her readings really that's when she was like, all right, I got this. So Norma's asking, are we supposed to cleanse all tarot and or oracle cards, both self-bought and gifts? You can. It's totally up to you. So I have definitely pulled cards right out of the package and just like read them. Sometimes I feel like I need to cleanse them. It's been a while since I've done any kind of thing where I've had to read for people like over and over and over again. But something that you can do, there's a bunch of different cleansing techniques. One thing that I do if I am doing, like I don't do this very much anymore, but back in the day I used to pull cards on Facebook for people, but now there's so many followers, I can't even keep up with the messages. But use a selenite wand. You can cleanse your own energy. Even put the wand like on the floor and gently put bare feet on it, I find can be really helpful for like grounding and sending keeping myself centered so I don't end up in this like weird intuitive headache jam situation. But yeah, you can totally cleanse your cards between readings whenever you feel like is good for you. Tashina is asking, do you say an intention prayer blessings before reading? It depends again. So you can, some people, if you're doing like a ritual or like spell work, some people will want to do that beforehand. If I'm just like pulling some cards for myself or like, casually, I don't usually take that extra step. But if I'm like doing some kind of release work or like where I'm really trying to figure out where I'm standing in my own way, then I might do that. Yeah. Pendulums with tarot. It's not on the list of topics, but Tiana, you can definitely use pendulums with tarot. I don't know where is my pendulum? You can use it in a bunch of different ways. You can use a pendulum to see if the deck is the right deck for a reading, to see if you're on track with the reading that you're giving, to see if like when you're pulling cards, if you fan your cards out, you can use it to like help you choose cards. You can use pendulums in all sorts of ways with it. So Christina says she does well with oracle and pendulums, but struggles with tarot. Yeah, a lot of people find that the barrier with tarot is the textbook, like guidebook meanings. And the one thing I hope you get over these next few days is that you can read tarot intuitively. And it's actually pretty easy to learn the meanings once you look at them as a story instead of just like 78 cards you have to memorize. Like the Fool's Journey, it follows a story. And when you think of it that way, like things that you encounter in your life, it's much easier to remember them than to just like memorize 78 different keywords for sure. Birds, yeah, Anna does have a lot of tarot decks. Samantha, this is the Lumina Tarot, I believe is what you were asking about. Iris, I will try to speak more slowly. There's a lot of comments and, I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, so definitely can't stay on too long today. Let's see. Yep. And Karen, the video will be available afterwards. Yeah, Jennifer Joe, put that selenite wand right on the floor and just put your feet right on it. Let's see here. Samantha said that my root chakra is blocked, so that might work. Yeah, it might. Let's see here. So Dee says, I imagine it'd be good to have the traditional tarot foundations, but then adding your own intuition. Yeah, for sure. So we'll talk more about that over the next few days. So the first 3 days, today and the next 2 days, the homework is going to be just like getting to know your cards, choosing a deck, all that good stuff. And then we're going to talk about our next video, I think, is the major and minor arcana together. And we're going to talk about those systems and whatnot, which is really cool. Yeah, try that with your but selenite is really fragile, remember. So when you put it on the ground, be really gentle. Don't email me, be like, oh no, I broke it, Sarah, bad advice. Put it on the ground and just like gently place your feet on top of it. And it can be really helpful as like, because selenite, it naturally cleanses things, right? And clears things. And it has associations with the moon, which is feminine and that goddess energy and our intuition and like all of our deep inside internal stuff, which is really cool. So you can put it there and just shoot your energy straight down through it for sure. Okay, so let's see here. Get back to my Zoom ones, and then we'll look at the printables too for those of you who missed them somewhere. So yeah, someone on Zoom was able to get a replacement card. So give from the manufacturer. Jordan is working on making her own deck, adding a few extra cards to the major arcana would still be considered a tarot deck. Yeah, if it follows a system, that's what the That's what the Dreams of Gaia does. So it adds cards in, and it follows a story still. So you can line them up and follow a linear story. And that's what makes it a tarot deck versus an oracle deck. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can knock on the deck to cleanse the energy. Hold it, you typically in your non-dominant hand, and use your dominant hand to knock it and shoot the energy straight down through it. Let's see. I don't seem to connect with traditional tarot deck, more drawn to oracle cards, but want to be versatile and love what the tarot can offer. Yeah, so she's asking about the angel tarot and fairy tarot decks and cosmic tarot. Yeah, they still tell a story. So the cool thing about tarot versus oracle cards, with oracle cards, I love to pull an oracle card when I like just want some simple guidance or something. For example, like the fairy oracle deck. If I'm like, okay, like what message do I need for today? Or if I have a tarot spread and I want to pull like a card just to get some more information or like something to work with, or if I'm stuck in a situation and I'm like, what animal energy might help me out? And I want to pull an animal card. I have some fun oracle decks that are like have little spells on them, all sorts of cool stuff. And so I'll pull oracle cards typically for that. You can also use them with spreads and readings, which we're going to have a whole video just on spreads too. So you can use oracle cards in that way. But the cool thing about tarot and learning tarot is that once you learn the system, right, and you learn like the story, if you pulled a card, say you pulled temperance, and then you can look at like, okay, well, what happens before and after temperance? And then you can say to yourself, so I'm here, like I've just come out of the thing before, and now I need to prime myself to conquer like the next part of my journey, which can be the really cool thing about tarot, is because it is linear. You're able to say like, I crossed this mountain and now I've got to prepare to cross this mountain right before I can get to the end of the journey. And that's why it can be really helpful to at least be aware of what that journey is, even if you don't have all the cards memorized. And yeah, you can mix tarot and oracle in the same reading for sure. So Nat, would you be talking about the whole main tarot story? Yeah, we're going to do tarot, I think on the 11th, which is Tuesday, I believe. I think we're talking about tarot and, we're talking about the major and minor arcana on that day. Okay, so those are the differences between tarot and oracle, and I answered a bunch of questions. Oh, Katie's asking, do I believe that cards that fall or fly out of your tarot are meaningful? Yeah, so sometimes when you're shuffling up a tarot deck to pull your cards, and you can shuffle in any way that feels good for you. You can pull cards straight at the top, you can pull them out of the middle. There is no right way or wrong way. Sometimes a card will just plop out. And if I'm shuffling and it really just appears to fall out, then I usually pay attention to it. If I'm shuffling the cards and I'm not paying attention, and like, 3 of them, I like drop them on the ground, then I don't always pay attention to that, because I'm like, oh, I wasn't paying attention, if that makes sense. But if I'm like focused and I'm shuffling and I'm like, all right, what do I need to know? This is my question. Like, I'm connecting to my higher self and all of that good stuff. And then one falls out, then I will pay attention to it. So just follow your gut. If it feels to you like you want to pay attention to that card, then pay attention to it for sure. And yeah, you do. There is like a whole math formula to figure out your tarot birth card too, for sure. There's so many cool things with tarot. You can choose like your significator card, so your card that relates to you, like who you are in the deck, and there's a whole bunch of different ways to do that. And then there's the birth card, all sorts of cool stuff. Angelique is asking about upside down cards. Yeah, so reversals, they can have a specific meaning, or they, like, if you look in a guidebook, typically it'll say like, if it's reversed, this is what it means. But a really quick and easy way to read reversals can be just either the opposite of the typical meaning for you, or even easier is just to look at it as a block in that area. For example, like the 10 of Pentacles, that's a very abundant card. And so that reversed, you could just look at it as a block in that card. That's a really easy way to just go about it there. And so Kelly doesn't always pay too much attention to jumpers. Yeah, it's kind of, you get a feel into it. There's not really a great, like yes or no to that. But Yeah, some people do read. Some people do normal, some people do not read reversals. I would just know going in, if you're like, okay, I don't read reversals, and you pull reversals, just turn them around. It's really, there's no like that you're going to mess it up. It's really what you are into doing and what your intention is for it. So if your intention is that you don't read reversals, then simply don't read reversals. If you do read them, then go ahead and read them that way. Let's see here. Karen asks if you fix your cards to make them not reversed. If you don't want to read reversals, then you totally could do that. Yeah, I don't see why not. Tracy, how do you then incorporate it into the reading? A jumper card, if I was thinking of a position and it jumps, then that's how I would just put it in there. And if I'm pulling cards just intuitively with no spread, then I would just, like, whatever I was thinking on, I would use that card, for that. So Karen always pulls the Hermit card. Yeah, you can have what we call stalker cards. So cards that you pull over and over again. If they're in regard to you, then I tend to think that a stalker card, so one that you keep pulling, it's like a message that you need to receive and work on, right? So something about it needs to be addressed. Like there's something there for you to learn. Anna, for the longest time, was always getting the tower. Like every time she pulled cards, she'd pull the tower. She was like, can I have like not the tower as my soccer card? And she just kept getting it. All right, let me pull up the PDF here so you guys can see it, for those of you who didn't get it in your email, and then I'll screen share it so you can see. You guys will see I've got 800 million windows open here on my computer. I'm that person, the person of a million windows. We're going to share my screen. I think we are. There we go. All right. So you guys should be able to see it. And I do, those of you on Zoom, just on Facebook, there is like a 45-second delay, I think. So if it seems like I'm like not, I am always a little unfocused, but that's also why too, because I'm going back to the questions there. All right, so this was the PDF that was sent out to you for your homework. And when I'm done here, I'll put a thread in the group for today's homework. And then there'll be a thread and on Instagram for those of you that are not on Facebook. And then there will be a thread each day for 21 days. So even in between our videos, there will be threads and you can post your homework, and then we pick some prize winners at the end. So the first page here, this is for today, and they say on the bottom left here what day it is. So this is day 1, and all you have to do today is just write down some similarities and differences between tarot and oracle. Super easy peasy, just like when you were in high school and you had to fill out those Venn diagrams. Those of you who don't know, I actually have my master's in education and went to school to be a teacher. And then I owned a business teaching kids with learning differences and advocating for them. And now I'm here at the Sisters Enchanted. So I do love some homework assignments. So that's today's. Your homework for tomorrow is to get to know your cards. So there's some questions for you. What's the energy of the card deck you're going to use for these 21 days? How did the images make you feel? Are there any symbols in the deck that are just really familiar to you? You look at them, you know right away what they mean. You recognize them from somewhere. Do you feel really excited when you look at your cards? If you don't, maybe think about a different deck. And then we're going to talk about some suggestions, other suggestions for getting to know your cards. So one of them, somebody already asked about, is putting them under your pillow and sleeping with them there. Another thing you can do is go through each card and simply look at it and kind of imagine like what's happening in that card. You don't even need to look at the book. You could just pull out a card. And Jennifer Joe just counted 20 tabs on my browser. Oh my gosh. Sometimes when my computer crashes, I like freak out and then I'm like, oh, sweet relief from all the tabs. Because I can't close them myself. So you can pull a card and kind of look at it and just see like, all right, what's that person doing? Do they look happy? Do they look sad? And you can get to know your deck that way simply by looking at it. Another thing I think can be really cool is to fan them out in a circle around you and just like, it probably sounds kind of weird, but just hang out in the circle of your cards, like the energy, which can be a really good practice. We have a new moon tomorrow. Some of you might follow the dark moon phase, which you know, there's the dark moon and the new moon, and some people use them one and the same. But if you are a follower of the dark moon, tomorrow would be like a pretty cool time to just like sit amongst your cards and just be like, connect your energy with them in that kind of in between void time, which can be really cool. So you can get to know your cards just by looking at them, by kind of talking to them, by doing a deck interview, which, like I said, if you search in our Facebook group deck interview, you'll see a couple come up, and then you can find them online too, all different ones, or sleep with them under your pillow, anything like that. No wrong way, kind of like carry them on your person for a few days. I always have some in my bag or something, but try one of them and then, you know, take some notes on it. How did it feel for you? Like, how did it feel to get to know your cards? And that's your day 2 homework. Your day 3 homework is to practice using tarot as oracle. And the point here is to help you get to know your tarot cards intuitively, which is what is the barrier for most people in getting to be able to read tarot, because you're like, oh, there's this meanings and systems, and I don't want to get it wrong, and how do I know if my intuition is right? And we're going to talk about confidence too in a couple of weeks. I think I'm actually doing that class. We have a get together over the fall equinox weekend up by Salem, Massachusetts. There's 15 of us going to be together up there. And so I think I'm doing that video live from our house up there. So maybe you'll see a bunch of Enchanted sisters. We're going to talk about confidence also. So we'll get to that. But what I want you to do for your day 3 homework is simply to pull a card and read it like you would an oracle card. Just take a look at it and either say out loud, write it out loud, or speak it, the first thing that comes to mind for you, and do it right away. And the reason I want you to either say it out loud or write it down right away is so that you're spitting it out before your ego has time to be like, hey, wait, what if I'm wrong? I don't want to sound weird and dumb and like I don't know anything. Just speak it out, write it out, and just get it out there. And roll with it. And so that's going to be your day 3 homework. So on day 4, we're going to have another video, and I will send you the homework for those few days too. And you can share with us along the way in the homework threads as well. All right, let me stop sharing my screen with 20 tabs up. Let's see here. Oh, Jordan's birthday is on the fall equinox. Magical birthday for sure. Let's see here. Let me go through the Facebook. Guys, are my tabs killing you guys? I have a lot of them, I know. Let's see here. Lynette gets the sun all the time. That's not a bad stalker card to have. I have a random tangent story. I apologize. Some people don't like my random tangent stories, so I do apologize in advance for those of you who don't. But I had, in our Enchanted Journey group, I send a tarot card to each new member. And if you're watching, you're like, I never got mine, I'll get it to you. I have like 70 on backlog to send. But anyway, from this deck that I send the cards out of, my daughter pulled a random card out of it and pulled the moon card one day. And then I have a 16-month-old, and he randomly, like a month later, pulled a card out, and he pulled the sun card. And I thought it was so fitting. I have them hanging on my fridge now. Random tangent story. Let's see here. I'm just reading the comments here. Fellow teachers in the house. Awesome. Yes, lots of tabs for me. Natasha wants a unicorn or fairy or dragon tarot for sure. Let's see here. And Jennifer Jo can't decide if she wants to use a super easy deck or a challenging obscure deck. Go with an obscure one, Jennifer Jo. I'm challenging you. Norma's going to set out her cards along with her crystals to bask in the new moon energy. Awesome. Hilda, part of your comment got cut off, but you chose the crystal tarot, and it's kind of challenging. You know, you could go with it or switch it up. There's no rules here. So Norma's asking the card interview. It's basically a card spread where there's all different ones, and you know, you can ask the question like how's our connection going to be? Are we going to work well together? What kind of readings might you be great for? That sort of thing. But you can find spreads. There's a couple in our group, and then you can find them online too. Kimber already forgotten day 1 and day 2 homework. Yeah, I'll send back out that PDF too. So just make sure you check your spam also. Yeah, Natasha. So anybody who doesn't have a tarot deck, you can totally use either an app. There's tons of good apps for tarot, and you can find images online too. So that's what Natasha said, that she's going to use them online. So if you don't have a tarot deck, that's totally awesome. You can find images online or grab an app to use as well. Thanks, Michelle. Let's see here. Yeah, Stephanie's having the same problem. Simple or obscure. Let's see here. Yeah, Angel says if you have a pendulum, you could try finding them with it. I think she's saying about the lost cards for sure. There's the Halloween tarot. Where did I put mine? I got my Halloween tarot deck out because, you know, 'tis the season. So now I don't know where I put it. See this disaster that is my space here. Yeah, but if you have a Halloween tarot, it's a good season for that. Yeah, and some people are going to use 2 decks in tandem. And the Kawaii Tarot has the entire deck on their app for free. Yeah, a couple of them do that. And I think that's an awesome tool, right? Especially if you're not sure if you want to get the ones. So Jasmine, I have the Enchanted Spell Oracle deck, Medieval Hedgewick Magic. I have not used that one, no. And then Kelly was asking, I'm debating on using my Goddess deck, which I love, or try and connect with the deck I'm not connected to. Also, can we use a tarot and an oracle? Yeah, you can do. There's no rules here. The only rule I have is that you're nice to everybody who's playing along. That's the only rule that I have here at the Sisters Enchanted. But yeah, you can do whatever feels awesome for you. Cool. So that's your basics for today, is tarot versus oracle. I answered a lot of really good questions. I know I talk fast, so I do apologize for that, but I'm always like, oh, I want to answer everyone's questions. And you have the homework. So for the next 3 days, I really just want you to pick a deck, practice pulling a card, reading it like an oracle card. That's your day 3 homework. So today's Saturday, so that's going to be your Monday homework. Sunday that's tomorrow. That's to do something to get to know your deck, which works out really well because it's also the new moon. And then today is just to take some notes, the difference between tarot and oracle, which is really important if you're totally new to the whole divination thing. If you have never used them before, it's going to be, good for you just to know the difference. So if you do walk into a store or you're online, you know what you're looking at, you know what you're buying, and you're good to go and you're cool with it. So some people, I'll just say again, I know I talked about this in the beginning, but this is their traditional Rider-Waite sort of imagery. And you'll see, and I'll recommend too, I always think it's great. You can usually buy them, they're usually pretty inexpensive. And I do always recommend that, it is handy to have a traditional Rider-Waite deck, mostly because if you go online, like I said, and you're like, oh, what does the devil card mean? The information you're going to find online in almost any tarot deck or any tarot book you purchase is going to reference this sort of traditional story. And so even if your cards don't have the same imagery, but they follow the same story, it can be helpful to have this kind of deck handy just so you can see where the information is coming from, and then you can apply it to the deck you're using in whatever way feels best for you. So I do, I'm not exactly it's not my favorite imagery in the world, but I do like having the Rider-Waite Smith sort of traditional imagery, especially for a beginner. I think it's really, really useful. But you can buy so many great decks now that follow the story. I don't have it in here with me. It's actually in my kitchen, but the Everyday Witch Tarot, it's new. It's newer in I think the last year or so. It's really cute and kitschy. It's like witches and cats, and it follows the story really closely. So you can actually really see the traditional meanings and the imagery, but it's a really fun deck to use. So that's one I like. And then if you like animals, this one's newer too, but the Animal Totem Tarot follows. I really like the Line Strider Tarot, which is watercolor imagery. And yeah, I don't know which one's the Green Witch Tarot I like. That's more kind of pagan-y in its imagery. And does have a little, it does follow the story. The images are a little bit different also. Let's see here if there's any other questions that I want to answer before I hop off here. CC does not mind shopping for a new deck. Most people don't. Yeah, the replay, I'm going to download it as soon as we're done and then upload it, and I will email it out. I'm on the East Coast of the US, so it's about 4 p.m. my time. And if I don't get it emailed out before my kids go to bed, I'll do it as soon as they are in bed tonight. So Bert's been trying separating majors and minors and drawing cards. Yeah. Katie misses doing homework. Melissa, where is a good place online that you would suggest to purchase? Well, I always, as a small business owner, I like to support small business. Of course, there's always Amazon. But you know, there's tons of like Etsy shops, small businesses where you can find them from. In Canada, Emma Smallbone, she owns the Woo Shop. She's one of our amazing Enchanted sisters. She always carries decks. My Animal Totem Tarot came from her. If you want like an indie deck that's small produced, this is the Lumina Tarot. She's in Australia, so it will cost you an arm, like your firstborn, in shipping. But that's a good one. So if you wanted like a self-published deck, you can just search on Etsy for sure. And just any like small person-owned metaphysical shop for sure. Otherwise, you know, there is always Amazon, like I said, for online. Norma, there's going to be threads for homework. So there'll be a thread in the Facebook group, and I'll put it on Instagram as well for those of you not on Facebook. And they'll be in our Facebook group. There's an announcements section, so it's right at the top. You have to go into the group from your phone or tablet or computer or whatever, and it'll be up there. So how do we get the story? Lena, we're going to talk about the major and minor arcanas in a few, I think, is it on Tuesday? I think we're doing that. Let's see here. Yeah, Jennifer Joe, eBay, Etsy, Amazon, Hay House, all those. Yeah, Line Strider's so pretty. Yeah, Karen, it's the Line Strider. Someone above you wrote it too. It's really pretty. Yeah, let's see here. Yep, and threads in the group. Gurney, Illinois, CC saying Black Cat Minerals is great. My father lives in Illinois, and my sister, my step mom, and my sister-in-law, who was on here before, saying hi. Let's see here. So cool. And we've got on Zoom's asking about, Angelique was asking about, I'll grab that one real quick so you can see it. And since the Medicine Woman Tarot is nice too. Where did I put I literally, in the span of 3 feet, lost my, oh no, it's right here, my Halloween deck. This is the one that is, I'm not trying to get it in focus. This is the one that's watercolors. This is the Line Strider. I almost exclusively use this. Now it's sold by Llewellyn. It was self-published first. And like 3 years ago, it's pretty much what I used solely for a long time. And then I started kind of jumping around a bit. But there is also the Halloween Tarot, which is totally like mass produced, and you can find it on Amazon. But like I said, 'tis the season, and it's pretty inexpensive usually. Oh, what do we got here? And it follows the Rider-Waite system also. It's all like ghosts and pumpkins and bats, which I think is really cute. Dawn's asking, can you ask questions like I would to my pendulum? Yeah. So, but and then you have to interpret based on the card. So if you were like, I don't know, if like with a pendulum, if I was going to ask like, is this decision in my highest good? And then I picked a card and I was like, is this decision in my highest good? And then I picked the Two of Pumpkins. Then I would like, answer it in that way. And like, I'd be like, oh, well, it's going to be a balancing act. Like, can you balance it? So yeah, you can just ask questions that way as well. Yeah, the Line Strider is so pretty, and she makes a bunch of decks now. She makes different herbal oracle cards, and she also has a Lenormand deck too, which is really super fun if you read Lenormand. So that's today. Ta-da! Thank you guys for hanging with me and sticking through my very quick spiel here. I like to make sure I answer all the questions, get you what you need to know, and get you going. So those of you who have been reading tarot for a while, I'm sure there's some of you here who are like, know what you're doing and you're in for it, definitely hang out, because like as we go on, we'll talk more about confidence in reading, asking questions. We're going to talk about spreads one day. One of your homework assignments is going to be to do your own spread. So we're going to get more like, we're going to get our hands dirty a little bit more. So this is totally, today was like a good newbie day, and we are going to keep digging into it over the next 21 days. So hang out. Even if you've been reading for a while, it's always good to get different perspectives and all of that good stuff. And I will put, like I said, the threads up just as soon as I can. I hear my little guy screaming in the other room. So I'm not sure I'm going to get to it exactly at this very moment, but thank you guys. And I will, yep, there will be a replay. Someone just asked that. I'm going to download it. If you're in the Facebook group, it will show up as soon as I'm done. And if you're not, if you're on Zoom, I'm going to download it and I will upload it to YouTube, and you can, and I'll send out the link a little bit later on once that's all situated. So thank you guys for joining me. I can't wait to see your homework over in the groups and or on Instagram if you're not in the group. And if you are on Instagram, those of you on Zoom, you'll see my sister Anna. She posts tarot cards to our Instagram most days. So you'll see her face on there a lot. So if you're like, wait, this isn't who I just saw, that's my sister Anna, who you'll see on there. Instagram is _sisters_enchanted. So _sisters_enchanted. And then YouTube, it's it's YouTube /the sisters enchanted. And you guys can find us. So yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. And I will shoot you the replay email tonight, and then you'll get your next email, your next tarot homework email on Tuesday. Cool. All right, guys. I will see you all in the next video and in the homework threads. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Bye.